take a look at elements versus compounds. Okay, there's a key difference between elements and compounds. Elements are going to be those things that are pure. Compounds are going to be a combination of certain substances. So we're going to look at elements first. Elements are going to be those things that are found on the periodic table. Okay, so the periodic table of elements contains over 100 different elements, some that are not discovered yet. So if you notice in these blocks here, they have numbers because we know they exist, but they haven't been discovered yet. So we're going to take a look at different elements, and like I said, there are over 100 different elements of different kinds. Some of these are solids, some of them are liquids, some of them are gases. So we're going to take a look at all of those. Let's first take a look at or define an element. So an element is going to be a pure substance. So a substance that has that atoms are going to be the same throughout. So it's a pure substance. We're going to look at one type of pure substance here, and that's going to be that of oxygen. Okay, oxygen is number 8 on the periodic table of elements. We took a look at some of the parts of the periodic table. So we looked at the atomic number. Okay, so oxygen's atomic number is 8. Can you think about what this number 8 represents? So think about our conversation a couple of days ago. What does this number 8 represent? The number 8 represents the number of protons. It's your atomic number, so it's the identifier. So each of those substances on the periodic table have a different atomic number. So if we go back here and we look at our periodic table, each of these have different atomic numbers, okay? And the atomic number is going to be the identifier, so that number that identifies what the substance is. So if we look back at this, our O represents our symbol. Okay, so O is the symbol for oxygen. And this 15.9994, this is going to be our mass number or atomic mass, or you could call it atomic weight. And this is the number of, can you remember? Yes, the number of protons and neutrons. So this is the weight of the nucleus of an atom. So let's take a look at helium. Helium is another substance that's found on the periodic table. Helium is a little bit different because helium has 2 letters as its symbol. Helium is also a pure substance. It is number 2 on the periodic table, and helium is a gas. Okay, so that is a pure substance that can be found on the periodic table. So it is an element as well. Compounds are a little bit different. So compounds are going to be a combination of 2 or more elements. Compounds can come in all different forms. You can have a combination of 2 of the same type of elements. Those can produce compounds. But if you have more than one element together, that is no longer an element, it is now a compound, and its properties will change. Let's look at a very popular compound, and that is water. Okay, water is going to be a very easy compound to look at. If we look at this, it's H2O, and I'm going to talk about what these numbers mean in just a second. But water is a universal substance, and it is not an element. It's a combination of elements, but it is no longer an element. It is now a compound. Now let's look at those numbers. Okay, so if we look at that, what this means is that water is going to have a combination of 2 hydrogens. So down here you'll see I have written 2 parts hydrogen. And what that means is I have 2 hydrogen atoms. once I combine two hydrogen atoms, it is no longer an element. It is now a compound. So water is actually 2 parts hydrogen to 1 part oxygen. So if I say that to you, you would know to write H2O. Okay? Let's look at another molecule. It's no longer an element, and that is atmospheric oxygen. That is what this is. So you would think that this would just be an element, but because there are 2 oxygen here, it is no longer an element. It is now a compound. Okay, so basically you're going to see, you could say here, I have 2 parts oxygen. Okay, and there's no other substance here. So that is a quick overview of elements versus compounds. Now we're going to take a look at, in class, we're going to do an activity with identifying elements versus compounds.